to what we're about at the Female Product Lead community, and I'll hand back to Hannah, and then we commence the Supercharge Working from Home event. So, we are the Female Product Lead community, and our vision is equity in product leadership. Our goal, our vision is to create a level playing field for every female product leader to thrive, regardless of what you identify as, your gender, your skin, your identity, or whatever your personal circumstances are. We're about dismantling biases and addressing systemic issues and promoting inclusive opportunity for female product leaders to thrive. We have our purpose is to ensure that we create a level playing field for all female product leaders to thrive in their product leadership journey. And in doing this, we create events and opportunity that empower you and set you up for success in your female product leadership journey. We have four principles. The first is deep connection. We want to create a community where community members can lean on each other. You can create genuine connections amongst yourself. You can, be inspired by, we can inspire ourselves collectively, individually, and, lean on each other, support each other, and build authentic connections. Next is trusted allies. While we focus on female product leadership, we also welcome trusted male allies to stand alongside us and define what it means to be, what success looks like as a female product leader. They help us champion our voices, amplify our voices, and basically advocate for us. The next is community led. We want a community that is co-built by members. We want community members to have a voice. We want the community to grow and mature from inside, from within. We want every of our events, materials, content to be shaped by community members. We've just recently introduced a member-led event where our community members can, create their own events, share their knowledge with each other within the community, and then we support you in, setting up this event, even if it's an online or in-person event. And lastly, free now, free forever. All of our events will always be free. We're not looking to charge for any of the support, any of the assistance that we give you, any of our events. We're not looking to monetize it in any way. It will always be free. And that's why we've registered as a community interest company. And it's not for profit. This means that, we can potentially seek grants to be able to, run over our events and run programs that support you in your leadership journey as you advance in your product career. These are the lovely faces behind the leadership team of the Female Product Lead. And we have the QR code. If you are not already a member, you can scan and join this wonderful community. And we have four series for this year. We have the Evolve series, where we're talking of the different transformations that you face in your career. We started off with the IC and management part, and then we went up to parenthood, transitioning. Uh, Today we have the Supercharge Working from Home. Um, May to July, we're going to have the Confidence series, where um, we have series of events, content, materials, where we're teaching on how you show up and own yourself, own your leadership journey with confidence. Following up to it, we have the influencing series over August to September. It's about bringing your unique voice into focus in your workplace, in your professional life, and even in your personal life. And lastly, we're going to wrap up our event series with the diversity and inclusion series towards the end of the year. And we have a couple of events in over the next 1 month. So these are the next three events that we have. Next week, Wednesday, we have the Transformational Leadership online keynotes, which will be led by Dr. Sharp. If you have not already registered to be a part of this event, that's the QR code just right at the top. And the very next day after the Transformational Leadership event, we have a 1 hour launch CV masterclass, where we're going to be talking about market insights, tips for navigating the current tricky job market. And our next in-person event will be May 7th, a panel session where we're talking on normalizing menopause and perimenopause. It's going to be um, an awesome experience, and we welcome you to join us. Just scan that QR code at the top. Anna, okay.
Cool. Thank you so much. Hi everyone. My name's Hannah. For those that haven't met me, so nice to see so many of the same faces in the room as were in the room last week. So thank you everyone for coming back, and welcome if this is your first time. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Gemma Coles, who obviously you can see on your screens today. Gemma is a flexible and remote working connoisseur, and I think also the founder of Remote and Human, which is a platform and a community dedicated to enhancing remote and flexible work experiences. Gemma's going to take us through a presentation first, and then also a kind of interactive, little bit interactive step seconds that we hope will help you all supercharge your work from home life. I'll let Gemma tell you a little bit more about that before I steal her thunder. So over to you, Gemma. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hannah. And thanks everyone for dialing in and joining us for this today. We're having some conversations about whether most people will be dialing in from home or on the move. And I guess a lot of you are probably based at home, given that you're fully remote, but I know that a few people are on the move. So thank you so much for carving out the time and making space at home or on your travels or wherever you are. What we're going to do today, and I'm actually just really excited to be here. So thank you so much to the female product lead for inviting me to do this session. It's a great opportunity to do some hive mind thinking with lots and lots of people that are passionate about product and see if we can solve some real world problems together. So thank you for joining. Hopefully this will be a fun session. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be applying some human-centered product thinking to the world of flexible working. So I'm not an HR expert. I've not got a background in the people side of things. My background is in product strategy, and over the years I've just I guess got into the habit of looking at how we can solve a few problems. So we're now going to be applying that in the space of flexible working. So before we get started, I just invite you to just really settle in and find out what works for you. So make sure that you're comfy. If you need a glass of water, go and grab one, please do. And absolutely no judgment if you want to have your cameras off for lots of this day. I know that lots of you will have small people running around in the background given the time of day and where you're dialing in from. So whatever works for you. We will have breakout groups in a little bit though. So if you want to get engaged with those and turn on your mic and use your video, then that'd be amazing. Okay, cool. So let's get going. So hi, I'm Gemma. I'm just going to check because I think I've got the controls for these slides, have I? Yes, magic, cool. Okay, thanks. So I'm a bit of a newbie to Butter, but it's a pretty cool tool. Okay, so hi, I'm Gem, that's me. You can see me here too. I really enjoy working with companies that are looking to scale whilst having a positive impact. And previously, I've worked in product-led businesses, and I've worked across strategy, ops, culture, but I'm pretty much a generalist. So my last few roles have been MD roles in a digital agency, a prop tech, and at a digital birth education business. And in these companies, I've worked in-house, I've worked with hybrid teams, I've worked with remote teams and outsourced international teams, like I'm sure lots and lots of people here have. Now, on a personal level, I'm just a massive advocate of flexible working. I've got two pretty small people, which aren't at home running around me right at this moment, which kind of gives me some peace to talk in confidence here. But it means that actually I've become a huge fan of this over the last probably 5-10 years. It's allowed me to, in my career, grow and support really diverse international teams and help scale businesses through that real range and variety of talent pool that we've been able to tap into. And personally, it's given me the chance to play a role within global organisations and really grow my career whilst trading some commuting time for time with my family, which has been really important for me. So I think there's so many gains for DEI and all sorts, but I know it's not all easy. I think someone put on a post last week. I think it was something that Meg Porter, who's on the call today, so I think it's like something around how it's not a bed of roses, and it's not. There are challenges that come with it. And for this reason, I launched Remote and Human just a couple of months ago to help people supercharge what it means to work from home, but also to help businesses really to win at being remote and at being hybrid, because I think there's a lot that we can do to support them. So that's what we're going to focus on. Okay. So, question for everybody here. I've got a challenge. The first person to put a comment with a guess to this answer in the main room chat will get us started here. Then we're going to do a higher, lower challenge with people doing 150. So how many hours do we spend working from home in the UK each year? Beck says 150. I'm going to put a caveat here. Collectively in the UK, all of us, not individually. Okay. Bex, you know you're wrong. Okay, so do we want to go a bit higher? We're thinking a bit higher than this, maybe. Any other guesses? Anyone wants to chuck in a new number that's a bit higher, maybe? 1.5 billion. Okay, I think that feels a bit closer. Let's go with Amy's suggestion of 1.5 billion. Does anyone want to go higher or lower than that, do you think? Higher. It's higher than 1.5 billion. It's higher than 1.5 billion. Should we have one last guess? Anyone want to throw in a number that's bigger than 1.5? 3 billion. We'll take that, Jessie. Thank you. Okay, so here's the Hannah. Love it. Maybe one day, who knows? Okay, so it's 10 billion hours that we spend in the UK collectively each year, roughly. Now that's my bad maths. Okay, so the way that I got to this number, in the UK at the moment, almost half of us are working flexibly, remotely for part of the week. And of those people that work remotely, typically we're working 2 days a week from home. That's what the average hybrid model is. So that comes out actually a bit above 10 billion, but 10 sounds like a nice round number. It is absolutely mind-blowing, actually, that as a number. And if we think about it, it shows us that working from home culture is now a major part of business. It's not that businesses aren't remote. It's not that this isn't happening to the majority. This is really mainstream. So the time that we spend on our own in our own environments, it's shaping our working environments, our routines, our well-being, our human connection. But for some reason, it's so often unspoken, discreet, really personal, and often circumstantial. It often evolves with time. So what might work for you 1 month might very much change when a personal circumstance changes the next. So what I'm starting to talk to businesses about is why aren't we talking about this time? Why aren't we focusing on it? Why aren't we optimizing it? And inviting the question, really, what would happen if we gave this particular chunk of time a bit more focus? What if we better supported, celebrated and optimized how it works? And would it help if we could all supercharge our working from home a little bit? So that's what we're going to be trying to do today in this session. So at the beginning, I've put this at the wrong place. We did this at the beginning. We asked the question, what's the biggest challenge that you find with remote work? Oh, it's got a doorbell. There we go. Okay, so the biggest challenge that we find with remote work, people knocking at our door and delivering packages when we're in the middle of something, I'm sure. Okay, so from everything that we said earlier, the top score out of everyone that voted was connection with colleagues. And we hear this so much. We hear all sorts of evidence about people feeling lonely, about less connected, about concerned about their career paths, about whether they're being overseen, overlooked, whether they're not actually learning and growing and scaling in their roles. And so much of it comes down to human connection. So thanks for your feedback on that, because I think it really shows us what a big challenge this is. So we know that being remote is an absolutely huge enabler for lots of us, and lots of us are taking advantage of it. But the challenges behind it are really human. I personally think that if we can start to solve some of these problems that are very human, we'll better be able to show business the benefits that come with remote and flexible working, and it'll encourage more companies to embrace it in a really open way. Hopefully get rid of some of the black and white debate about is it a good thing, is it a bad thing, and just recognise it is a thing that's happening. So rather than trying to work out whether we're for it or against it, accept it, embrace it, and make the most of it. So I see it as an opportunity. So when we're in this session today, we're going to start scratching our heads a little bit around how we can open the conversation about remote work. So I think there's 3 key opportunities for businesses to improve how they can support us as individuals. The first one is to start actually having the conversation, talking about this really sticky human stuff, the stuff like, should you have your camera on or off? Is it okay to have a dog in the background? If it's okay to have a dog in the background, is it okay to have a kid in the background? Where do you draw the line? What's okay? If it's okay to dial in from home, is it okay to dial in on the move? I remember previously working with a colleague that would always dial in from a car. What was that about? We didn't know. Why were we afraid to have the conversation? It's just really, really weird stuff. So secondly, I think we can help companies to better enable their comms, their ops, and the tech that they use so that they can make the most of remote and flexible working. And I think we can better look after ourselves as individuals and invite businesses to help us in doing that so that we can really be at our best wherever we're working, whether it's from home or anywhere that might be. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a very quick intro to what Remote and Human is about. So I launched the business a few months ago just with the ambition really to help supercharge working from home and helping companies to enhance what remote and hybrid means for them. Over that time, I've had some fantastic conversations, and I'd really encourage you to follow on whatever channels work for you. Got lots of lovely content around wellbeing, connection, personal growth, including some Spotify interviews with Jessie, who in fact is running the jobs market session on May the 1st. Jessie joined me to talk about how to approach hybrid. We've had conversations about different working models, how you can work in remote work spots and all sorts. I've got links through to remote work spots, so co-working locations, remote roles, and also different activities and workshop resources for businesses. Now, what I'm personally focusing on myself, I'm seeing this as a platform which different people can take advantage of and provide various services. But where I'm really focusing my efforts at the moment is how I can help businesses to win with remote and hybrid working. So some of the services that I'm launching are workshops and away days, consulting with comms, ops and technology, which enables remote work. And then I'm working with an HR partner to offer some people packs and a perks provider to provide some benefits which are more suited to flexible working. Okay, so that's what Remote and Human is all about. If there's anything that you'd like to get involved in, please let me know. Okay, so this is what we're going to be focusing on in today's session. We're going to be exploring how we can supercharge our own working from home time, and we're going to look at it through 2 lenses: a people lens and a business lens. And I think it's really important to look at these 2 user groups because they've got very separate needs, and it avoids the black and white debate of what's good for the individual who's working remotely and what's good for the business. It's instead saying what's the challenge and what can both parties do to address that. So firstly, we're going to look at a few different challenges. And firstly, we'll say as individuals, as people that work remotely or hybrid, how can we improve our well-being, connection and personal growth when we're working from home? And as businesses, how can we empower the businesses that we work within to win with hybrid and remote working? How can we help them to embrace more human-centered processes or systems? How can we encourage businesses to empower their people, to deliver efficiencies, to boost retention, to do all of the stuff that would shift the headlines and encourage more companies to embrace flexible working? So what we're going to do is we're going to split into 4 groups in a minute. I'm just going to talk you through the brief for each of the 4 groups, and we're going to go away and have some thoughts around 4 of the challenges. And I'm really glad that from the feedback that the top one, which was around connecting with colleagues, is one of the ones that we're going to look at here. Okay, So we're going to split into 4 different groups, and within each of these groups, you don't have to scribble anything on this. You'll have a briefing document within each of the side rooms that you get sent into in a moment. Within each of these groups, you'll have a brief. It'll either be fueling your body and mind, tackling self-sabotage, making it count when you're together in real life, or connecting like a human when you're working remotely, so how to connect with your colleagues. So when we're talking about fueling your body and mind, we might think, what could you benefit from? Is it that you need inspiration? Is it that you need more structure, different processes? Is it that you need movement? Is it that you need different habits? When we're talking about self-sabotage, we're going to start thinking about what our limiting beliefs are, those inner voices that we sometimes assume of others when we're just mainly communicating through digital media. And also what our inner critic is when we're on our own, in our house, lost in our head a lot of the time. Then we're going to explore how we can make it count when we get together in real life. So when you're together in an office, whether that's once a week, once a month, or for a team meetup on a quarterly basis, how can we make sure that those interactions really matter, that we're not going on a big commute just to be in an office and then do Zoom calls with the rest of the team that aren't in the office that day? And if you've got people all flying in for a team meetup, how do you create the experiences then that build the connections that continue when people are remote again afterwards? And then the last one, connecting like a human. For this one, we're going to be, I think, recognizing that only 55% of language 55% of language is non-verbal. So we're going to be thinking about what are the non-screen ways of connecting? What are the different contexts when we connect with colleagues when we're working remotely? And how can we connect in different ways that just make it a bit more human, and help us to work a bit closer and build a bit of empathy? So for each of these 4 different topics, and I think everyone's going to be randomly allocated, I'm going to ask you to reflect on your own challenges. So think about your own experiences, both as individuals, things that you've seen with colleagues, things that you've seen within the businesses that you've worked in. And for each of these 4 groups, I'm going to ask you to think about 3 things that we can do as remote workers to bring change, and 3 things that our businesses can do to support us. So there's going to be a whole lot of things that we can change. We can be in control of some, and some things are aspects that the business, the companies that we work within might be able to support us with. So for each of these groups, we're going to move into different breakout groups. It might be worth having one person allocated in each group to make notes and to present back to the group. You're going to have 20 minutes in your breakout groups to really dig into these. And then when we come back together, each of the 4 groups will have 5 minutes to share it with everybody else. So, and then we'll have time to discuss this at the end. Okay, so what we're going to do, I think we're going to get started in a moment. I don't think I've got the room controls, but hopefully once you go into the rooms, there will be a briefing document for each of you, and a couple of us might jump into different rooms as we go. So I think if everyone's happy for us to get started with that, we're going to press the timer and have 20 minutes to go. We'll see you back so shortly. Cheers, guys.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Some people are not back yet. We just give them a moment.
We lost a
Just in the
couple of
ether.
people as well. Had to
Yeah, we
drop
had
off early.
Welcome back, everyone. That goes so quickly. Well, ours did. I had a lot of fun with Meg and Jessica. Jessica had to dash off.
It flies. Can't believe that was 20 minutes.
I know, it flew. Gosh, yeah, even just that one topic, actually. Meg, I feel like we're going to be talking about these sorts of things far and wide.
Forevermore.
Are we all back? Have we just lost a few people along the way, do we think? Cool. Okay. Right. What we're going to do, we're almost up to 6 o'clock. So we'll probably maybe if we just spend 3 or 4 minutes, and we've got a bit of time for discussion at the end within each group rather than taking too long on this. Who was in the group that was talking about fueling your body and mind?
That was me and Ash and Bex. Bex had to leave because she's got a 2-hour commute home. And sorry, my laptop's really shit and the camera doesn't work. So apologies that I haven't got my camera on. It's broken. But yeah, Ash and I and Bex were in that group.
Cool. Would one of you be happy to talk us through kind of what you covered and any of the suggestions that you had?
Ash, you happy for me to do it, or you want to?
Happy for you to do it, Jessie.
Okay. All right, cool. So we spoke first of all about like the kind of things that we as individuals can do when we're working from home. We all agreed that actually when we work from home, one of the things we found harder, and Ash works mostly from home, I work mostly in the office but ad hoc from home, and Bex does a kind of a hybrid role. But we all kind of said that we actually find that we work a lot harder when we're working from home. We find it harder to kind of manage our boundaries. We tend to work longer hours. We tend to feel like we should be involved in lots more meetings perhaps than we necessarily need to. So we sort of said that we have to kind of like, protect our sort of like certain space if we can. So for example, building in some time like before work or at lunchtime or after work to kind of whether it's to go to the gym. We all agreed that actually we get real positive benefit from exercising. So that was really important for us. We also kind of said that we sometimes find that we don't eat as healthily when we're from home. I know that I'm much better when I go to the office. I tend to plan what I'm going to take and make something, and it's all. So I think, again, having like maybe nice food in the cupboards and being a bit more thoughtful about that. But then we also kind of said that sometimes it's really hard to be structured and like you just have a really busy day and you're pulled into lots of different meetings. So we talked about like having those kind of micro moments, and it might just be a couple of minutes where you get up from your desk and you go and have a stretch, or you finally have that wee that you've been holding on to for hours on end, or you just step outside and drink your cup of tea in the garden if you have one and you're able to. So just like little moments as well. And then also we sort of said about recognizing our triggers, perhaps when we're feeling like when we're actually getting maybe a little bit burnt out or we're getting a bit overwhelmed, and just kind of or we're feeling kind of quite stressed, and it could be for different reasons, but sort of allowing ourselves then to kind of step away again and maybe just have a bit of a change of scenery and like eat your lunch away from your desk and and all of that. So that's the kind of things that we've sort of talked about that we can do for ourselves.
The triggers is interesting, Jessie, the triggers around recognizing the points which you're struggling with, because if you're in an office you'd probably vocalize it and you'd probably have a supportive colleague that says, oh, can I grab you a coffee, or actually we can move our meeting back if you want, it's not urgent if you need an extra half hour on something. Or they might say, do you want to take our next meeting as a walk around the block? And sometimes it's reminding yourself, I think, of what your supportive colleague would say if they could sit next to you and see you and hear you. What would you say to yourself in that moment?
Yeah. And I think like when you're in the office, you are obviously, focused on work, but you also do have a bit more of a social connection. You'll maybe chat about like how your weekend was or what you did last night, or I don't know, some other bits and pieces that aren't just full on work chat. Whereas sometimes when you're working from home, it does end up being just conversations, one after the other about, work stuff, which can kind of be quite draining sometimes by the end of the day. But then in terms of what the business can do, we were talking about kind of leading by example, and whoever that might be within the business, sort of leadership, if you're in a people leadership position, or, senior leaders, like really instilling a culture where, they sort of make you feel safe about taking breaks or going to the gym or doing a dog walk or whatever it might be that you want, and actually respecting the fact and actually then being vocal about that they do that they perhaps do the school run, or they whatever it is. So kind of like, seeing that yes, kind of seeing people kind of lead by example. People respecting that if you block out some time in your calendar and they don't just kind of put something in without maybe talking to you about it, or you're not just invited to absolutely everything, there's a purpose to the meeting. So again, people kind of being respectful that you might have put something in there, and and that you can kind of you need that time to do it. And then I think I think that was kind of it, really. Ash, I can't really remember what else we talked about the business stuff. It was mostly around kind of setting culture and feeling kind of like, safe to do those things.
Yeah, definitely. Although I like what you mentioned about Jesse's workplace. There, they have a personal trainer who comes in to support the physical well-being. So you can have employers and the businesses providing like programs or structured things like mindfulness courses or sessions that involve like fueling your mind and body. But more than anything, it was kind of focus on culture and making it feel like a safe space for people to work in the best way they work. You just kind of embrace that and shift all of the pressure away, and you kind of go, yes, we see you're human, you have lives outside of work, and that's absolutely fine. Doesn't make you any less good, It
makes you more human, and let's talk about this stuff. That's great. Thank you so much, Jess and Ash. That's some brilliant points there. We'll be sharing all of this afterwards as well, so everyone will have a copy here, but also sharing it wide and far so others can hopefully learn from this hive mind. Okay, so I joined a group with other Jess and Meg. Meg, are you happy to talk through ours?
Yeah, totally. Let me just close the door. There's a bit of background noise, sorry.
So we were talking about tackling self-sabotage.
Yes. So we had 3 things that individuals can do to tackle self-sabotage. And self-sabotage, actually, we found we all had slightly different interpretations of what that meant. Different things came up, all the way from like behaviors that you might do, like procrastinating or maybe forgetting to eat, which is actually more maybe like on the kind of taking care of yourself side, all the way to like kind of what do you do as teams, does what some people call imposter syndrome, which is essentially just self-doubt. Did these kinds of things come up more in a remote job? And the 3 that we came up with from a personal side were 1, and this is obviously not just for remote teams, but maybe more important for remote teams. People can try in themselves or try and work with others to learn to do more externalization of nonverbal communications. So like things that you might have normally expressed with your body language or with hand gestures, like learning to put them into words as I'm doing many hand gestures. Also, putting together a list of how things about you, so how you work and how you like to communicate. So how you like to be included, how you like to receive information, how you like to receive feedback, what context you need to be able to understand or be understood. And then the third one was on procrastination. We were saying that like actually removing the shame around procrastination should be something that would really help people in remote working, kind of for the same reasons of what we were just talking about, where like people are spending more time or are often like over functioning at home. So normalizing taking longer stints of non-working time during the working day, or like spending time not working and then spending time working should be less demonized, and potentially maybe even normalizing procrastination could help us to combat sort of over procrastination and like those kinds of behaviors.
With that, some people take longer or shorter amounts of time to do the same thing, and actually you may end up with the same sort of output, but they've just gone on different journeys to get there. And someone can be really, really busy on the surface, and someone else might be beating themselves up that they're procrastinating, but maybe that's just their way of processing.
Yes. Yeah. Processing and sort of output. And output, you know, as we talk about this a lot in product management, like outcomes over output, like I think it is true with people as well. So just need to kind of like reapply that same principle in this regard. And I think at a company level, that can be, you know, you could take that one to the company level as well, right? So as a whole, you want to create this culture of like outcomes over output and like normalizing working in different ways to create that safety from the top down and from the bottom up to be able to work how you need to work. That's like true flexibility. That's what it would look like. And remote working is just like one aspect of flexibility, right? But the first one I think that we felt was most important is just supporting managers to learn what their people need. And how to apply flexible working at whatever your policy is, how to apply it properly. And not just like examples, like kind of random examples, but actually help them apply it inside of their team, help them to and support them to learn about the people in their team, to understand them, and then to take that and mold that policy to their actual team. Very hard to do in practice, I think, for many companies, but really important. Second one was working style and understanding how each person works. So I think this was kind of, it crosses over into sort of like meetings culture as well, but it's kind of like there's this handshake of how people want to work together with other people in a remote working environment. And then there's also kind of driving from the organization level that actually we as an org care about each individual inside of the teams and how they work. And we want to help them get the, you know, the best out of their day and be happy at work. And if the organization can show that, it makes it safe then for those individuals to question and push back against policy or against how it's being applied and say like, I don't like this. So yeah, I think that was it. If there's anything I missed, Gemma.
Thanks, Meg. No, there's loads there. Thank you. I think we'll have time for a bit of more conversation between everyone on this at the end as well. But if we jump to the next group, which was focusing on how we make it count when we get together in real life, have we got anyone that's happy to talk us through your conversation?
Yeah, hi, Gemma. I'm Rocío. I joined a bit late, but managed to be part of the discussion. We're grouped with Hannah and Mitso. So on an individual level, the top things we discussed was having a bit more of an open mindset, because discussing that most of us are mainly in a remote setup. That's kind of the great opportunity to be together, establishing those relationships that typically might have happened in person, but using that opportunity to really just enjoy that conversation, get to know teams. And I think also it's a part of like try to bring the best version of yourself in this. Usually these events probably happen as, now they call it a lot, like annual retreats or quarterly trips, an offsite, which make it a bit fun. So I think that's kind of on the individual level. Just moving on the company side, because I feel like we spend much more on like what the companies actually can do to make it the most effective time for each individual team, and I guess overall for the organization, is that to have a bit of a mixture of the type of activities that are throughout the day, mix that up with like icebreakers, because that will make that intro a bit easier. We touch upon it as well, like type of personalities, people who are a bit more introvert and extrovert. That may be a good exercise to do in a more of a paired exercises. And specifically, we discussed that it's best to bring the pairs of people who usually don't work together as much, because that's, again, the beauty is like bringing different people together and meet in this special occasion. So we talked about how the icebreaker to be more of an intro to the time together, structure, being very intentional, structuring the different activities. So balance of perhaps a bit of strategy, but also having natural breakouts for people to connect. I think very similar to a few people who touch upon like fueling your mind and body, that also would be nice to have maybe some me time designed into the activities, and optional for sure, not to be forced to do some yoga if you're not very flexible, or you just don't like to do that, for instance. Some minimum type of activities, but can bring people together. And another common theme that was discussed from other groups as well is that having natural boundaries where possible designed into the event as well, because everybody may be different, and not having a forced activity doesn't make that fun. Well, not fun, but like interesting. It feels like work on top of work. So I guess in summer as well, it's just having that balance of a mixture of what to get out most from that work event, but also social, bringing people together that are not used to being together, and thinking about the different types of personalities and preferences in the team.
Thank you. There was definitely some overlap, wasn't there, with the other groups? And I think something you said there reminded me of something that Meg said a minute ago, actually, in our group, when you were saying, Rocchio, about the different personality types and pairing people. I think, Meg, in our session, you said about how you'd worked with someone for, was it 6 months or so, before you realised they didn't want to be using the mirror board setting, and how people had both.
It was a long time that they had been doing things they didn't like.
Yeah, so it's trying to find out kind of what the differences are between us, and we can definitely weave lots of this together. In your group, when you mentioned about bringing your best self to these company meetups, that's a big thing, isn't it? So I think for someone that isn't used to commuting and isn't used to getting any out of their joggers on a day-to-day basis, and then suddenly they've got to put on, I don't know, stiff shoes or put on game face for however many hours on end. It can be absolutely draining, can't it? And I know some people have literally had to go to bed for a day after a company meetup. Don't think it's just from the alcohol, from the absolute emotional exhaustion of talking to people and having to, be constantly on. And I think there's something there as well, isn't there, that we can do to protect ourselves, to really think, actually, what are we going to need, and voice that, but also for businesses. But it's all of these individual points. It's a reminder that actually the business can invite these questions too, isn't it? Cool. Okay, nice. Thank you. Lots and lots there. And then the last group. Sorry, was there anything else, or was that everything for your group? Rocky and Hannah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Unless Hannah, so you have anything more to add?
No, I think you captured it well. Thanks, Rocky.
Thanks, Meg. I know Meg needs to dash. Thank you.
Yeah, Meg.
Thank you. Okay, so then we'll wrap up with the last group, which focused on how you can connect like a human when you're working remotely. So who have we got left? We've got a couple of faces here we've not heard from. Amy, are you happy to talk us through your groups, Amy?
Yes, so we had Jenny and Catherine, but Jenny has dropped. So her notes are written, but I'll read out with a little bit more flavour. So we just spoke about how communication, like in text-based formats, can like lead to a lot of misunderstandings and don't really like develop a deeper bond. So we had the idea that wherever possible, like just have little one-on-one video calls or set up like the standard practice of sending like voice notes so that you can communicate more than you can with just sort of writing. Obviously that's not totally inclusive for everyone, so I don't know, it has to be a balance, but it's just setting up that dialogue to actually establish like team and group norms. We said that like emojis and sending pictures and videos and like trying to inject like some light-hearted humor, but obviously not like being super unprofessional, but actually, you know, like having a bit of fun with some of the communication methods as well helps, like memes and stuff like that. Sharing personal information, so actually like making a bit of an effort to actually put yourself out there a little bit and share some things about yourself. So that people see you as a human and not just as, you know, a screen name, because that can be something that happens a lot, the whole screen name thing. So actually like trying to make yourself into more of a 3D person on purpose, maybe even more than you would do face-to-face in a kind of conscious way, because I think a lot of it comes out subconsciously when you know people face-to-face, but remotely you have to actually like probably try.
That's really interesting, isn't it? So for younger people that have perhaps only ever had remote roles, that might be quite intimidating, actually letting themselves be seen and working out what their almost personal brand is beyond the digital space.
But we also discussed how like actually that's where like having children and pets helps, because they can kind of break down that barrier. Like if they just suddenly appear on the camera, then that's it, they're there. So they can help a lot if you've got that, or just like, I don't know, things that are on your desk, if you just like share what's on your desk with people, and that kind of thing can just help kind of break down barriers, or, you know, just talk about your hobbies or whatever it is, or that kind of thing. The other thing that we spoke about was kind of like informal stand-ups and sync things, because especially when you're a manager or you're like very busy and your calendar gets full, sometimes you have to just plot out a little bit of time to just like talk to people casually, whether that's like in a water cooler Slack channel, or whether that's like in a scheduled random like meeting for 15 minutes every week just with whoever turns up, but some kind of ritual to kind of help establish the chit chat, because not everybody likes chit chat during the kind of actual work meetings, although some companies and some groups and some teams like that. So again, it's similar to what other people were saying about establishing those norms, establishing the expectations, establishing the playbook, and also especially
on that one, can I ask if has anyone here got examples of where they perhaps tried less formal meetings, and if anything they might have seen that's worked on that front?
Yeah, so I mean, I have an example. So I've worked in companies where they literally just had like a standing hour in every week where anybody in the team could just turn up and just talk crap. I also had an engineering team that I worked with, and we had like half an hour every afternoon where everybody would just come on the call, continue working, but we'd just be on the call together. So we'd have a chat if we wanted to. If not, we'd, you know, dip in and out of work. So it was kind of that kind of chance to sort of pretend you're in an office together. I've also worked in companies where they have that on all the time, so you can just drop in whenever you want. But then some managers tried to misuse it and tried to demand that everyone was there all the time, which was just super uncomfortable and doesn't work.
I love that. I used to carry my laptop around my kitchen. I used to finish phone calls, and if we needed to have a one-to-one after a big team call, I'd try to encourage people to just literally be amidst their home chaos, literally make a cup of tea or stick in your earpods and go for a walk down the road to have a conversation, so you're away from the normal screen a little bit. It's like different context sometimes too, isn't it?
Yeah, and also like when it's nice weather, go out in the garden and have calls from the garden, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's nice. I have had colleagues take calls from the bath, but that was not on video, and I don't recommend that. But there we go. Yeah, I was like, please don't accidentally turn on the video. Please don't accidentally turn on the video. Anyway, yeah, I don't know if anyone else has examples of rituals for chit chat and casual connection. Shall we move
Is there
on?
anything businesses can do? Was there anything on the business front?
Yes. So onto the business stuff. Yeah. So setting up a playbook, expectations to avoid miscommunication, because a lot of the conflicts that arise are because different people are wanting to work in different ways. So really trying to establish those norms and picking up on when things go wrong and nipping problems in the bud early is really important for managers, especially. We also discussed like the onboarding process and hiring and training people specifically who are willing, able, have the right mindset for remote working, because some of us have worked in companies where they were forced to go remote during the pandemic, and there were a lot of people that really, really struggled with it and they just weren't suited to it at all. And so one of the worst things that can happen is that you end up with like little cliquey groups within a business. The people that go into the office, the people that sometimes go into the office, and the people that never go into the office, and then some weird political things arise from that. So like being mindful of that as a company and not encouraging it. So yeah, and we also spoke about how like planning in-person or even online team events can really help, like, online escape rooms or online board games or just online quizzes or whatever needs to be done to actually, have fun with colleagues and, inject some play. And even just injecting play into, like, if you're doing, I don't know, design thinking workshop or any kind of like anything you need to do as a product manager, especially just trying to make it fun makes a huge difference. So that we felt would round out the kind of being a human thing. And we also had the idea of like having regular retrospectives, so actually opening it up as a conversation, like how can we improve, and keep asking that question, how can we improve, especially if you're going to have like a quarterly meetup or something. Put that as an agenda item every single quarter, like where are we going wrong, where could it get better, and then trying different things. Like don't just be, it's something that's just the way it is, we can't change it. No, have the mindset that it can change.
I think that's really important, isn't it? Because even if you think you've got your policy and working practices set up, individual situations can change so much and the company's needs might change too. So it can keep evolving, can't it? Thank you, Amy. There's some absolute gold in that. So much I'm taking from that. The expectations of something, which I think is really important as well. So we had a conversation around whether it's better to be completely flex and open book or to actually give people the guardrails. And we concluded that actually we heard about safety there from both the first and the second group as well, and a lot of it is around actually giving people real clarity, where you said about the clear expectations and the playbooks. That itself can give people that safety and remove that vulnerability, the permission. We heard lots here around the people really walking the walk and leading from the front. And yeah, I think there's lots that we can do there. I'm conscious that we're a little bit short on time now, so I think we might just wrap up that session, but of course we can all connect with each other and carry on conversations elsewhere. But I think a big thing here is, yes, just keep applying that product thinking, that product mindset, always being curious. And like you said, Amy, always inviting the question, asking how might we, and recognizing that anything that's tricky and human is just a user need, really. It's something to be solved that could benefit your individuals and could benefit the business as well. So it can only be a healthy thing if we keep asking the question and saying, actually, if something's not working, how might we bring that change? And so much of it is about human connection. So yeah, let's just keep leaning into that one. But I think thank you. I'll just wrap up my bit just by saying thank you so much, all of you, for contributing and being so engaged in that. I know it's smaller groups than perhaps I'd thought it might be today, but hopefully we've had richer conversations as a result. So let's follow, let's connect, let's carry on these conversations, and let's start asking those questions in our business and you know, bringing some change. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. I learned so much. I'm actually mainly office based, but interestingly, a lot of the principles that we've been talking about working from home, particularly the team collaboration, I can actually apply to working with. We've got a big team in India and a team in Pakistan as well. And even though I'm not at home myself, those remote working principles are still like very much applicable. So I learned a lot. It was super interesting. Really enjoyed the breakout format as well. So thank you so much. Oh, laughing. Does anyone have any final questions for Gemma before she heads off? Go for it.
Okay.
So one thing while you were talking earlier, like, because this was obviously like the remote working was a big topic during the pandemic, and it's not dying down. At least on like social media, it's not. So like, are there businesses out there that are still like really struggling to know how to work remotely? I don't know. Like, maybe it's just because I've been working in very remote, like dominant companies. I thought like it was something that most companies had sort of cracked. Maybe they're not doing it well, but at least it's not something they're going out there and saying we need help with.
I think what we're seeing is that fully remote companies that have been doing it for some time are typically leaning into it and solving a lot of the problems. What we're seeing is most companies aren't actually remote. Most companies are hybrid, and lots of the challenge comes in that transition. So people that are more comfortable office-based aren't great on their own necessarily, or vice versa. And sometimes the coordination of when people get together isn't syncing. So actually the career development, the connections, the touch points is a little bit adrift. We're hearing lots of that. And also, I think where we're seeing some businesses doing the return to office debate, and we're seeing a bit of a shift there, I think there's a narrative as well around a perception of business performance being associated with presenteeism. So I think there's a bit of an uphill battle there. So what isn't working is, I think, the threat to flexibility and inclusivity and gender pay gap and everything that goes with people having these sorts of career options. So I think there's a current challenge for companies that are still trying to figure this stuff out. And then also, yeah, where's the world going next? Let's protect it, right?
Yeah, there's some weird stuff happening at the moment, isn't there? That feels like it's taking us backwards rather than forwards. But yeah, hopefully they won't take away remote working too.
Yeah, I think that hybrid working is more difficult almost than remote working, being able to support both. Definitely in the companies I've worked for. Awesome. Cool. I think I might skip this poll just in the interest of time. Oh, people have already done it. That's how efficient you guys are. All right, so we've got not taking it for granted that everyone is remote native. So these are things that we would do differently as a result of today. Mindful minutes for grounding myself. Love that one. And communicate how you like to communicate. Include nonverbal communication as well. Self-introspection about one's triggers. Have you come across Atlassian's user manual?
No.
It's really cool. I'll find it and quickly drop the link in. But it's basically a sort of structured presentation on who I am and what makes me tick and how I like to work. And it's actually, I think there's a template online. It's called the user manual. I've seen it be very, very powerful in helping with collaboration generally, but remote collaboration in particular, because you can sort of say, like, I work best in the mornings. I might ping you early morning, but I don't expect a response. Like things like that, where you're just very upfront and articulate about how you work. I'll see if I can dig it out before we close this call so I can send you all the link, but it's really, really good, very powerful. Cool. All right.
Yeah, please do share. Absolutely.
I will do. All right, let's wrap up then. I think we've got a slide, just a reminder on some of the upcoming events that we have, unless I'm jumping the gun, Catherine. Yes, there we go. So we've got a packed calendar over the next few months. If you scan that QR code, then you'll see all of the events that we have scheduled. There's one, as Catherine mentioned, with Dr. Chloe Sharp on making products that matter. And then there's an online CV masterclass and also an in-person event, sorry, in May. So please do scan that QR code. All of the events are on the website as well. And then just finally, I think we've got a feedback request. So we are a registered CIC, community interest company, which means we're able to access funding and grants to some extent. If we are able to keep the feedback coming in, we are able to report that back to the folks that manage CICs. So please do, if you receive an email from Luma, I believe it will come from Luma, asking for feedback, please give it. It is so valuable to us and means the world, and also it helps us improve these sessions going forward. So take a couple of minutes if you can to give us that feedback. I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, especially the folks that have made it to the end. Troopers, so nice to see you all. And thank you,
so
Gemma, one
much.
more time. That was awesome.
Oh,
Take
thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Thanks.